Here with Derek Cianfrance, director and filmmaker for Roofman. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Obviously, based on a true story, when have you followed the story since the very beginning? Did you think this was going to be a movie when you first hired? Like, tell me a little bit about that process.
A producer of mine told me about the story back in 2021, and when I first heard it, I was definitely intrigued by it. It felt like it was a movie idea, but it also I was like kind of interested in the contradictions of this character that he was locking people in freezers but giving them jackets. He was an army vet that escaped prison and didn't hide in the woods. He hid inside a toy store. Um, and I was intrigued by those choices. And then I met the real guy, Jeff, who's in a maximum security prison in Raleigh, North Carolina. I probably had 400 hours of phone calls with him and heard his story. And it just got kind of wilder and, more and more crazy. And then I talked to everyone in his life, and it validated all those crazy stories. And yeah, felt like it was worthy of making a movie version of it.
And also, too, Channing got a chance to talk to Jeffrey, and Kirsten got a chance to talk to Lee. Tell me a little bit about that process and them connecting with them as well, too. And not just the director and the co-writer, but also the talent to actually kind of hear those words from those people.
Yeah, it was. I think it was important for both the actors to just kind of get inside the heart and soul and minds and just connect with those people. This is a real story. There's real people. There's real uh, people that will be affected by this movie, and I think it was just important for all of us to do our homework and treat it seriously and treat the real people with the respect that they deserve.
Let's talk a little bit about the title because obviously, he went through the roof, but especially I think a lot of parents can resonate with some of those feelings of wanting to provide for your kids. And there's always that like, I put a roof over your head, or I want to put a roof over your head, or here are the things I didn't have as a kid that I want to become a better parent. And I think every parent and every child can kind of as they get older can relate to that moment, especially early on in the film. You talk a little bit about the maybe that sentiment of like parents relating to it and the title of the movie.
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about what it means to be a father and what it means to be a provider in this movie, and what is the thing that's important as a parent. What are you providing for your kids? Is it stuff? Is it things? Is it the roof over your head, or is it your time? Is it your love? And I think Jeff gets a little confused. The real Jeff got a little led astray on what he was going to be providing for his children. He thought it was going to be stuff, and he ended up robbing all these McDonald's, and then he got sentenced to prison, and then he couldn't provide anything to his kids. Yeah. Not most importantly, his time, and that's a little bit of I think the moral that he learned in his own story.
Let's talk a little bit about the Toys R Us moment because obviously at when we first saw the trailers, when we first hearing about this, bringing a lot of nostalgia to Gen X, to those millennials of Christmas time. We can still remember how it smells. Walking down the aisles. Talk a little bit about recreating that for the set and having that aspect.
Well, there's no more Toys R Us that were, freestanding Toys R Us in America. When we shot this film, we found the one that Jeff actually stayed in had turned into like a mega church. I did use the band leader from that church, this guy named TJ, to orchestrate our band that's in the movie. The church in the movie is actually the church that was in real life, but we had to find a toy store, and we found this abandoned Toys R Us in Pineville, North Carolina. When I first went in there, it was 45,000 square feet of nothing, just empty concrete shell of a former toy store. The copper wire had been stripped. There was no tiles on the floor. We had to build it one tile at a time, one fluorescent light at a time, one shelving unit at a time, and then lots and lots of Tickle Me Elmo dolls. Truckloads of Tickle Me Elmos.
One of my favorite scenes, and I also love too that some of the original people who actually went through this make cameos in the movie. Talk a little bit about telling, kind of having those conversations with them of like, we're making this movie and we want you to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, this movie is so crazy and so almost unbelievable that I felt like I needed to talk to all those real people. And the key to movies is suspension of disbelief. And so when I shot this movie, I needed to be able to suspend my own disbelief. And one of the ways I did that was to go to Charlotte and surround myself with the real people who were involved in the real story. And they were all so generous to me, and they spent so much time and such care on the movie. And I offered them all roles. If they would like to play a role in the movie, they were welcome to. And a lot of them, some of them played themselves, some of them played other versions of other people, so that I like that because offered these people a different perspective on the story from another person's perspective. For instance, Pastor Ron plays the pawn shop owner. Lee, his girlfriend, plays the crossing guard. The prison truck driver, Charles Cummings, I had a long meeting with him. He's the guy that, unbeknownst to him, drove Jeffrey Manchester out of prison. I had a 45-minute meeting with him. I shook his hand to say goodbye. He said, "Hey, who are you going to get to play me?" And I said, "You got any ideas?" And he said, "I think it should be me." So I said, "You're hired."
Put it out there, right? Exactly. And then final thing here really quickly, Channing Tatum and Peter Dinklage, obviously, a key moment there. Talk a little bit about filming that.
Well, I wrote, that scene where he gets caught giving himself a sponge bath in the bathroom of the Toys R Us was a scene that actually happened in Jeff's real life. Some people think that was fictionalized, but it wasn't. And I wrote it in the script, and Channing read the script. And when we showed up to shoot it that day, Channing asked me, "How are we going to shoot this?" And I said, "Well, you read the script, right?" And anyway, we ended up shooting it. That was actually the first time Peter Dinklage ever laid eyes on Channing. He saw all of Channing.
All of Channing.
All of Channing.
And you get to see all of it currently in theaters. Derek, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.